welcome to ET 105. Today we are covering Orthographic Lab 2. But first of all, let's start with a review of the first Orthographic Lab that we assigned last time. This is an upfront view of the, I think it was the fourth drawing from that lab. This kind of gives you an idea of what we did. I did a demonstration on this one. Now if I were to back up my screen, you can see that I have the other drawings here written as well, or drawn as well, showing about what you should be doing. I believe I've done these correctly, so you can probably email me if you see a mistake. But this gives you an idea of what they're supposed to look like. Before we start Orthographic Lab 2, I wanted to show you one thing from the lab that I needed to point out. So this is a list of the pictures, at least, of Lab 1, and I'm going to post these on a screen where I can sort of draw on them. This is the Paint program. So we have these drawings here, and I wanted to point out that if you were to take a different colored pencil or something to help you see and trace out the box here, this is the first drawing. You can see that it's a little hard with the mouse, but you see I've traced out an outlying box of what can encompass this object. Now, if you were to pretend to that you had to ship this object, let's say in the mail, postal service mail, you would have to find a cardboard box that would fit the object itself. Now that works great for this particular block, but block number 2, you see, has this area missing. So if you were to get a cardboard box to cover up this section, now they don't really sell boxes that have notches kicked out of them or missing. So to get a box there, you would need to make a normal size box that encompasses the whole thing, and then you would have this air gap in this area here. But one thing I wanted to point out to you, and this is something called the imaginary corner. With the imaginary corner, if any object that you're looking at, the isometric object, the area that points to you, that's closest to you, in this case it's right there. In this drawing number 2, it's right there. It's the one that's easiest for you to reach out and touch if this were a real object. And then drawing number 1 is right there. That is called or referred to as the imaginary corner. And again, imagine you had a box around the object, that corner that pokes out. Now look at this number 5. If you were to draw a box that you had to use to ship with this object right there, and it's easier to do with this type of graph paper. But as you draw that out, it helps you to better see how the object fits into a box, how it actually looks. And again, if you were to circle that corner that pokes out at you, that one right there, that is called the imaginary corner. Same thing with this one here, you could do the same thing there. And the imaginary corner is the box that is pointing out there. And the last one here, last section. It's getting kind of hard to run with the mouse here, but I completed it there. So again, this area is blank. It's it's void. There's no part of the object there, but it's still the part closest to it, the corner closest to us. Those are all called the imaginary corners. Now there is a technique in drawing, as you can see. This is my Lab 1 drawn, where it's helpful to use the imaginary corner to draw out a reference line. So I'm going to run through it on drawing number 1. In this first area, the imaginary corner would be that front right section, because looking back on the drawing, it's this front right top section there. So what I would do then is to take the line command here, click on that, and then to draw a line, I'd start from that imaginary corner area right here, and click on the corner and pull it out. Now you want to make sure that your ortho is off. In this case, it's off, so that it doesn't do straight, horizontal and vertical lines. But being at that that I have a line here. It doesn't matter how long the distance is of the line. I've got it here at 7.7966. As long as it's long enough for you to see and go about the distance of the right and top lines, you know, where you can see going left to right and up and down. So you go about that far out, and then you push tab. You push tab, you see how it changes the blue from the distance at the 10.0 something something to the degrees, 37 degrees. If I go back and forth, it goes back and forth. If I change that in the degrees to 45, and now I'm still in the line mode, but it's kind of in pause right now, and if I push enter, it draws that line at 45 degrees angle, at a 45 degree angle. And I'll push escape. So now I've drawn an imaginary corner line that goes out this distance, and push escape again. I selected it there. And that is the drawing for number 1. Now, number 2 would be the same thing. Draw the line command, and you go to the corner of where the drawing would be. And even though this is an empty space based off of that top view, you can tell it's an empty space here. You still start on that corner where it would end. And again, push tab, 45, and I have another imaginary corner. Corner line. I'll push escape there. Going to number 3, same thing. This time I'm going to type L for line instead of clicking on the button up here, and push enter. Now it knows I'm in the line command. And again, draw a line. I'm going to tab and 45. So I have 3 imaginary corner lines drawn from my drawing. This is from the Ortho Lab 1. It's not required for that assignment, but I'm just showing you how to find it. In the case, let's look at number 5. Remember that the imaginary corner, if you look at this drawing here of number 5, the corner is out here poking out, even though there's no substance to the object that we're looking at. So basically it's in midair. It's in midair. So going back to the drawing, that line or that corner starts. I'm going to use my my helps here. It helps me find that corner there. Find that corner. It starts right at the point where those 2 lines would have met. Now I'm showing you something that you'll see a little bit more in the future, but basically if I were to take a line, or before I cleaned up my line, and then if I were to take another line here, and you see what I'm doing, L, and run that up here, that point where they intersect, that's where this this imaginary corner should start. Head out, tab, 45, and I have a 45 degree angle. Then of course the next step is to come back and delete this line or erase it, as you see there, and or you could trim it. Either way, I'm going to erase that. So that line is there, and the imaginary corner starts there. Same thing here. You take that line, just draw it out this way, draw another line out this way. That gives you a reference point. This reference line will be erased later, but you just have that reference point to help you find out where that goes. And of course the purpose is so that everything is precise. Just highlighted those 2 lines and pushed the delete button. Everything is precise and in the right spot and accurate. So I have done 5 of the 6 here. The number 4 here would be an easy fix as well. So that is our imaginary corner simple demonstration. Now let's move to the next lab, which is what I call Ortho2 or Orthographic Projections 2. And it is shown here. I've got the instructions. I'll shrink it down so you can see the size that it needs to go. This Orthographic 2 set of drawings, a little more complex. You see I still have 6 drawings. So let me run through the instructions. It says create a front right top set of drawings for each of the drawings 7 through 12 there. Also include the 45 degree line that starts from the imaginary corner only on the front drawing. So like I showed you in the in this lab 1, just connect that line to the front drawings there. See that? And so going back here, let's see the instructions. Be sure to include your name and section number. Of course, you are the online course. And then on the bottom, I've made a list here. And this list is to kind of give you a reminder about the process. that helps in making orthographic drawings. Step one, of course, is draw your X and your Y line. For most of these orthographic drawings, do it about 20 units long for the top and top to bottom, and then left to right 20 units. Label your front right top sides with the text. Use the offset button, it's important, with the X and Y lines to make the exact distances, and I'll show you more of that process as we go along. And then leave the same space between the front top and the front right. So if you do one unit between them, then do one vertically, and then you do one horizontally. And then at the end, make sure you trim everything out and erase anything that's not necessary. So let's jump right into this set of drawings. Here I'm going to adjust these to be on the corner and show you a couple of them to run through the process. What I've done here is again set up the drawing on the right, the orthographic assignment drawing here on the right, and then the AutoCAD screen on the left. Let's go ahead and start our drawing here. Again, start with put your ortho on, do it about 20. I'm zooming out and moving up the screen. About 20 there and 20 there. Remember what I showed you about doing your text. You can do a single line, and I'm just running through this again so you can remember. My ortho's on, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to put my height at about, let's go with 2 units high. Rotation angle, again, I want it left to right, so I'll go 0. Then I'm going to do front and type in front, push enter, escape. Then from here, I highlight it, make a copy of that front, and I want to put another set of drawings here, drawing there for the top and then the right side. This is the top, push enter, double click here, and push the, call this the right side, push enter. So now I've created a set of drawings. Another thing I'm going to do is highlight this whole thing green. I'm going right to left to make it green, and then copy again, and I'm going to put my base point. That's the base point. I'm going to put it right here so that I can make copies. So I'm doing 6 drawings, 4, 5, and 6. Not perfectly lined up or anything, but that's all right. This purpose here is just to teach you, walk you through the process. Okay, so number 7 I'm doing here on the right side. I'm going to start with the front. Notice it's kind of an L-shaped drawing, and the distance is if I look across, look very closely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 units across. And then the upper section, it goes from the bottom to top, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 6 across and 4 high. And then of course this section is only 2 high, but that left side is 4. So I'm going to do basically the outer area of that. I'm pushing offset, type in 6, enter. Going to select this line because I want to go 6 units that way. And then I'm still in the offset command, so I can click on the bottom one, and it will assume I still want it to be 6, but I don't. I want it to be 4. So before I click that, left click that button, I'm going to change it. You see that 6 is highlighted in blue, so I'm going to change that to 4 and push enter. Now I'm zooming in. I have my front section. Now let me go ahead and again walking through the process. This is 2 units high and 1 unit in order to get these 2 sections. So again, I'm going to click offset, specify a distance. Notice it says 4. It's assuming I want the same, but I don't. So I'm going to change that offset distance to 2. Push enter, go up 2, and then I'm going to try the offset. Well, just for repetition's sake, I'll push offset, type 1, and go in 1. Now, with the hatch command, that fill in shading, I'm just going to show you what area, clicked on the hatch command, what area is the front. So I'm going to click there, and then I will escape so you can see it. I've shaded in this front area, which is represented in this front view. Notice that this top section, you can't see it all because we're just looking at the front. It would be the equivalent of looking at this line. So that's the front. Let me highlight that and delete the hatching on there. Next step, again, is to put some spacers and make sure the space is the same distance. So I'm going to offset. This time I will make my distance at 2 units. That's a spacer between my front and my top of 2, and my front and right of 2. Next, I'm going to work on the top section that's up here, and that's represented in this part of the drawing. If you count off this distance from here, this line right there, which is represented, I'm pushing escape by the way to get out of that offset command, represented there. From that line to all the way to the top, that line, it's how many units? 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So what I do, I'm going to push escape again, get out of selecting that line. I'm going to offset and specify the offset distance to 4, push enter, and then go click on this line here, and see how it lets me go up or down. I'm going up. So this area here is the area that represents the top. It's not complete, but it's the full distance. From here, I'm going to push escape again, select that line to there. That distance is the same as this distance, which is 4. Okay, escaping again. Next step, I'm going to start with this little 1 unit. It's 1 wide and then it's 4 long. I'm going to start with carving that out, so to speak. If I start from this corner here, which again is right there, and go up, I need to go up by 1 to draw that little square, and then I need to go up 2, 1, 2 to draw that rectangle. That rectangle is 1 wide by 2 tall, and then 1 more time for the that last square, which is 1 by 1. Count those off. So what I would do is just offset, again going in sequence, push offset of 1, go from this line here up 1, and then offset again, and then this time I'll change the number to 2 and offset up 2 up. So I have the 1, then the 2, and then the 1. So it's 1 up, 2 up, and 1 up. So those 3, 1, 2, and I'll highlight that third, are represented by this little section there. But I'm going to get rid of that hatch now. But this middle section, this middle area here, is lower. It's deeper in because it's shallower there. But with our perspective, what we're looking at, you can't tell, at least from this top view. All you see is you know, a square, rectangle, square, and that's all right. That's something to just point out in the way we graphically show this. So the next part is to sort of carve out this section here. You notice it looks like maybe a letter C with a heavy backside, letter C here. But the upper section there, that upper part is 1 unit thick, and this lower part is 1 unit thick. But this whole thing is 2. So I'm going to, oh, and then one more thing. If you go from this corner into where that line crosses, it's also 2 units. 1, 2. Oops, I accidentally pushed that button there. So it's 2 units. So what I'm going to do is sort of carve out that missing section, which makes the letter C. So this line here, right there, is found right here. That's that line. So the next step is to go in from here in this corner all the way in 2 units. So I'm going to offset, go from that corner. I'm going to highlight, or excuse me, type in 2, push enter, and I will go from there to there. Now because my reference lines are long from the front view, I have overlapping lines up here. So I'm going to highlight that C section right there. And you can see how that is represented in this area here. Okay, it's got some extra lines, and we'll clean that up after. But I'm going to leave that there because that is complete. And then the last part is to do the right side view. It's right there, and that would start. This is the distance. Let's see there. There's your space. So it would start from here and go in this area. And what's the width of that right side? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to offset 4. Go from here this way. And so that area there, that square, so to speak, is represented up here. There's a lot of extra lines here, but we'll take those out one by one until we can find it. So first thing I'm going to take care of is this section here, that one wide, 2 high, 1 wide, 2 high section. That would be here and here. Now, your brain needs to be able to learn how to, if this is coming very slowly, you're having a hard time visualizing these, your brain needs to sort of practice looking at this drawing and saying, okay, I can see how that translates to this, and vice versa, how this might translate back into that. So as I mentioned, this stuff takes time for some. Other people it comes quicker, or if you've maybe worked with this before. But that's okay. This is all a part of the process and the test of learning. And so again, it's 1, 1, 2, and then 1. So I'm going to start with offset 1, and go from here, and then 1, 2. So I'm going to offset 2, go from that second one, and then that third one is already there. So this front section, I'm going to highlight that, 1, 2, 3, is actually two closer sections. Those two surfaces are closer, which are right there. And then the middle, which is also a square, it's too high and too wide, is the middle section here. So that part is done. Now we only have this upper section to take care of. Notice it's 4 wide, and we have it 4 wide here. It's also 2 high, which is from here to here is 2 units. But then this last section is, and we have our separators, by the way, of 1 and 1. But we have this last section, which is 1 high, and that should be right here. It's not. So I'm going to offset, type 1, and go like this and go up. And now I have highlighted, this is the upper section of that drawing, which represents that piece right there. Okay, so that, hopefully that makes sense. Now the last part, this is the part also where you sort of finalize what you're doing. The last part, well, and I'm going to, before I clean things up completely, I'm going to draw in my imaginary corner, because that's one of the requirements for this assignment. And that imaginary corner goes right here. And I'm going to change tab it, push 45. So notice how that corner lines up with all of these intersections. It's at a 45-degree angle. And now, last but not least, I'm going to clean it up. So go to Trim, left click, come here and right click. And I'm going to take out big sections if I can. I don't want to take out that 45-degree line, so I'll keep that there. Taking out line after line. Keep going. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to start trimming out little pieces of the top section. You want to be real careful, cautious. Make sure you don't take out something extra. If you do, you can just undo it. Take out that one. So that, I'm going to push escape now. This top section, I believe, is done. Got the 2 little squares, 2 squares, the middle rectangle there, rectangle, and then the C, which is right there. Now let's trim out the other 2. So I've clicked on Trim, right click here. Now it's time to take out, I believe all of this gets taken out. That one there. It's not letting me erase some of these lines. And if it doesn't, that's where you need to go back. Excuse me, push escape. You go back and click the erase button. Then you come back and you highlight these pieces. And you push enter. That takes care of that front view. I also have all of this area, so I'm going to just highlight this and push delete. Just highlight that all and push delete. Now last is the right side. So I push trim, right click. Coming back to trim, you need to be careful that you're not taking out something that needs to stay there. And I think this line here, which would have been right there, that doesn't need to be, there's nothing there. So I will take out that and that one, which is also there. It's also this upper section is clean, so I think that's right there, there. And that's pretty close. What else is missing? Oh, I see it. It's up here. This top part, I still have a line there, but there's nothing there on the projection, the isometric drawing. So that, I'm going to push it to escape twice. That is an example of how to draw the front right top for number 7. So I'm going to quickly draw another one, and based off of my experience of students that are curious how things should be drawn. Number 11 should give you a little bit of a challenge, but I'm going to draw this other one, number 12, because this brings in a new dimension of understanding the drawings. Let's slide that over just a little bit more. Okay, so number 12 is the last drawing. Put that over here. For some students, this may look difficult. They may wonder, well, wait a minute, there's a curve, or excuse me, an angled section. How do you draw that? And I'll give you a quick overview, so you know that the unit, or the block itself, is how many wide from left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, offset 6. Go this way. And how tall is it? This one's pretty short. It's only 2, so I'm going to offset. Notice how I stay in the offset command. Click on the next line, and it thinks I want 6. It asks, do you want 6? I say, no, I want 2. So I type in 2, push enter. So that front view right there is encompassed in this area. But if you look at the where this top line goes along, and then it starts to angle down, you count off how many units it goes. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. At the 4th unit, it angles down to the bottom right. So I'm going to offset a line, go 4 units. So you see what it does is it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, then it angles down. Well, for the front view, how do you draw a line angling down? Simply click the line command, make sure your ortho is off, so you can get angled lines, and come here and connect that piece. I'm going to push escape now. So that front view is shown right there. Okay? So let's put a spacer there, because I'm going to draw the top now. Let's do a space of 1 this time. Doesn't really matter what size space you use, as long as you do both of these the same. Now I'm going to do the top view. The top, you can see, is it's also 6 wide, even though this drops off at the 4 unit section there. And it's 4 tall, I guess you could say, or 4 back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if this line here represents that line there, then to go 4 back, I'm going to offset, push 4, and go 4 that way. And then what I have here is this area here, which I'm going to erase that, hatch in this area. This hatched in area is flat. It's a flat surface. But then this other rectangular area, it angles down. It's shaded down, or angles down. So how do you draw that? That's the big question for some students. How do you draw this to show that it's going down? And the answer is pretty simple. You don't. You don't, because when you look at the front view, you can see that it angles down. So by looking at the top view, you know that, oh, that angles down, and you only know it because of this. So let's move on. Okay. Next step, let's draw the right side. This one is even easier than the top, because from the right view, you're looking this direction. You know that it's 4 wide and it's 2 high. Well, I'm going to draw that. So if this line here that I've selected is represented for this surface here, this left side surface. So 4 wide would mean offset 4. Click here and go 4 that way. And it's 2 high, but look, we've already drawn 2 from our last drawing. So how do you draw this angle, this sort of a sharp edge? The answer for orthographic communications is that you don't. The only way you know that that is an angle or an edge is by looking at the front view, and that gives you that perspective. Now, before I wrap up, I'm going to draw a line for the imaginary corner. Remember, it starts at the point, in this case, it's out in midair. Push tab, 45 degrees, and that gives me my tab corner, my imaginary corner from the open space there. And now it's time to clean up, time to trim it out. So I'm going to trim here, take off those sections, take off this, that one, this, and this, and oh, I need to take off. You know what? I accidentally trimmed off that line. It should connect here. So I'm going to fix that. First, I'm going to continue to erase all the lines that I don't need. Now I'm going to push enter. Disappears. And here's a trick. If you highlight a line and you say that line is too short, you want it to go longer, you can go on the edge after it's highlighted. I'm not pushing a button. And then you stretch it. You can go stretch it out. And keeping at the 45-degree angle, I want to go right here. Stretch that line out. There you go. So that is number 12 of your drawings. Good luck on the rest of yours, and we'll see you or talk to you at the next lab.